Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Praetor Magic. My name is Seth Cross, and I'm going to be one of your hosts here tonight for Reflections of the Council. This is our live podcast, which we are now back to streaming on Twitch with my other co-host, Phyrexian Walker. What's up, buddy?
I'm back. He didn't kick me off this time. He decided to let me do an
What are
episode.
you talking? We didn't kick you off. We gave you a night
You
off.
totally,
We
you
tried to be
totally
nice.
forced me into a night off, and it was disappointing.
We
And
asked
I don't
you
know. It was fine.
if you wanted off, and what would you
You
have done?
asked me if I wanted to be like the fourth wheel on a tricycle or whatever.
Okay, first of all, that would just be a car.
No, fourth wheel on a tricycle. Clearly, it would have been like a weird, odd wheel somewhere in the middle of the tricycle, trying to reach the ground and never really succeed.
No, if you have four wheels, you just have a car.
No, I very
This is
clearly
how
said a four
vehicles
wheel
work,
tricycle.
Phyrexian.
You need to visualize better.
All right. So if again, what Phyrexian is referencing, if you didn't see the last episode, he did have the night off, which we asked him, and he took willingly,
Yeah,
so
I
that
did.
John Danny could join me. We talked about our GP Vegas adventures. It was fun. We were also there with Patrick and former Praetor Valdor, and it was a good time. So we just kind of told stories and reminisced and shared with you guys some of our experience. It was good. But now we're gonna go back
I
to a
was
little
there
bit.
listening.
Oh, did you listen?
Yeah, I was a listening.
Okay, I wasn't sure. I don't think he said much in the chat, but we were.
No, that's because on the YouTubes it shows my real names,
Gotcha. That's fair. Now you can hide
so
behind your
I
hiddenness.
have to hide behind my anonymity. I mean, if people can't see my face, I don't want them to know my real name either. That would be terrible.
But for this week, we are going to get back a little bit more to what we're used to doing. And luck would have it that there's a new set coming out, if anybody's heard of it. It's something called Throne of Eldraine. Yeah. Supposed to be
Yeah,
fairy tales and King Arthur style set, which is very cool. It's probably something I've heard people ask a lot about, like fairy tale sets and stuff like that, and just like high fantasy stuff. Kind of going back to like sort of what Dominaria was too. Dominaria was very high fantasy, not fairy tale, but high fantasy, like knights and castles and adventures and slaying dragons and stuff like that. So, but yeah, Eldraine's gonna be very fairy tale based. So we're gonna have godmothers and big bad wolves and pigs and Goldilocks and all that other silly hoppy nonsense. But we're also getting something else really cool with this set. Do you know what it is, Phyrexian?
I believe you're referring to Brawl decks.
Yeah. So
Got it right. Got
yeah, look
there.
at you. You get a gold star. I don't know how condescending that is with your job and everything, but I'm hoping it's very.
Yeah,
Okay.
less so than you'd want.
Oh, all right. I'll just be disappointed as usual with our conversations. But anyway, so obviously Brawl came out. What was it like last year? I think they kind of announced it and like or announced that somebody brought or made the idea up, and then they've been playing it and they wanted to share it with everybody and blah 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 blah. We thought there was going to be a lot of Brawl support for War of the Spark because there were so many planeswalkers. When Arena came out, we thought Brawl was going to be a big thing on there because it just seemed perfect because it's standard based, or I should say, standard rotating commander ish, and it just never happened. They talked about Brawl and talked it up, and like a lot of the Wizards of the Coast staff talk about it on Twitter and how they played and the decks they make, but we didn't really get anything for it. So it was kind of weird. But finally, with Eldraine, we are going to get an actual Brawl product, and what they're going to be is very similar to the Commander precons that we just did, uh, which we talked about for the Vegas episode, and they're precons. So there's going to be 4 decks that are specifically standard legal cards that are like they're made for Brawl, including
These
some
are
cool
true
stuff.
words.
Hmm?
I said these are true words.
Including some cool stuff like the Arcane Signet that everybody freaked out about a while back, because it's going to be huge Commander staple, but only coming in Brawl decks because it didn't come in the precons for Commander, which I was
Mm-hmm.
still surprised about. But whatever. I guess I got to push sales for Brawl somehow, right? So we did talk about one of these legendary creatures a little bit before. We actually did a whole episode on brewing a deck about them, And I just want to very quickly go over them again because I don't want to talk about the 3 and then somebody's like, oh, well, I didn't see the other episode, so what was the 4th one? Blah, blah, blah. So, just for the sake of going over them, I'm going to just we're going to very quickly go over this. Kind of like cards that we expect would be in the deck, blah, 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 for a commander. Now, that's also another thing we should probably get out of the way right now. These are Brawl products, but we are talking about them from a commander standpoint. So we're not just concerned. Yeah. Wait a minute. That's not 100% true.
We did make one Brawl episode, I believe.
We're commander focused.
Okay, I'll rephrase. I don't really care about Brawl.
Oh, God. Here we go. Anyway, so the card that we do want to go over first, because we talked about him before, is Chulane, Teller of Tales. For 2 green, white, blue, he's a human druid. He has vigilance. He's a 2/4. Whenever you cast a creature spell, draw a card, then you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. And for 3 and tap him, return target creature you control to its owner's hand. Now again, we went over this in a whole episode where we crafted a deck around it. It was a very like combo centric deck where is this the deck where we threw the budget out?
Yes.
Okay. And didn't we wind up having like many monies required to make this deck?
If you were building it in paper, it would have been many. If you were building it online, it still would have been a significant amount of monies.
So obviously very enter the battlefield centric, very tricksy stuff, maybe some landfall stuff. I mean, he just has card advantage plastered on him. So you can imagine some of the things that like you just want to kind of combo into. Like it's almost, I think, I don't remember if I said this during the episode where we made the deck, but it's almost kind of feels stormy because like you cast creatures to get more cards, which I'm sure you will have creatures, and then you put down lands, which hopefully you cast more creatures. And like I think we even had a combo finish for our deck.
We did.
So yeah, it's really cool. And this is going to be in standard. You probably can't break it nearly as bad as you can in Commander, obviously, because you don't have access to the old cards. But it should be pretty cool. The MTG Arena had a event last weekend where you could go on and actually play the Brawl decks, like as the precons, like out of the box. It's a virtual product, but whatever. And I heard a lot of people saying that Chulane was like winning most of their games, if you could say it as such. But so he's 1 of 4.
He's a pretty powerful card.
Yeah. You think he's the most powerful one? Before we even talk about the other 3?
I'd say so. I think he's at least the most easily broken, I would say.
I think he's the easiest to build around. I think he's like the most obvious to build around. Like not to be like a negative connotation there. Like I'm not trying to be like, oh, look at how easy he doesn't take any blah blah blah. I'm just saying like I think he is the most like, oh, I could think of a million cards I could put in this deck that wouldn't be bad.
Yeah.
Which one should we talk about first of the other 3? And then we'll maybe our conversation by the end will change our minds.
We talk about Sir Gwyn.
Sir Gwyn. For the record, I want to say that I like the spelling that they did in Eldraine. The Sir with SYR instead of
SIR.
Yeah.
He's a hero of Asheville. It's for 3 and a red and a white and a black, so it's Mardu colors. Has vigilance and menace, and when an equipped creature you control attacks, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. And then equipment you control have equip Knight 0.
Yeah. And it's a 5/5 human knight.
Nice little Voltron. I like the fact it's not Boros. I like the fact it's Mardu and you get that extra little black boost.
Yeah. So now you have I mean,
not only do you have black knights, but
and
black white knights, but I mean, just Boros is not that good. We all know it. Let's not pretend otherwise. So it's nice that they didn't just stick it as a Boros knight and be like, there you go.
But Feather's a thing. They have
Feather is decent. Still not 100% great, but it's decent.
Yeah.
It's probably the best Boros commander now.
Is it the most popular one? Hold on
I don't
one
know if
second.
it's the most popular, but it's probably the best. I mean, Aurelia the War Leader's not bad either. I mean, there's some Boros that are bad, but they're all just. I guess Feathers is probably the most interesting, the least linear. But yeah, I mean, but I like the fact that it's got those extra colors. It really allows you to play about any of the knights you would want to play. I mean, I think you just have to build this as like knight equipment tribal if you're going to build even a commander. I mean, you're talking if you aren't budget, you're probably talking your swords of
Yeah.
War and Peace, your sword of Feast and Famine, your sword of Fire and Ice. You're talking that stuff
Do
for
you think
some
it has
cool
to be
equipment.
tribal, or do you think it can also be just Voltron?
I guess it could be Voltron. I
Oh,
mean, it's a big night, but I'd kind of like to see it because it is a 6 cost and it's in Mardu, and Mardu's not the best at ramping. It's not the worst color combination at ramping either, but it's not the best at
yeah.
ramping out. So
Especially when we go to compare it to like some of the other decks in this product. You know what I mean?
yeah.
I
So I
do.
don't know that I like it as just a pure Voltron, just because it's so hard to get to that point. It doesn't have any real protection.
Yeah.
Like when you think of powerful Voltron decks, you think of things like Bruna that don't care if all the enchantments go to the graveyard because you're just going to recast it. It's always a threat every time you do. Or Ural that just has the built-in defense factor. You
Yeah.
think of stuff like that, or what's the Bant one that's cheap?
Tuvasa?
No.
Nara?
Someone help me out here.
Rafik?
Yeah, Rafika the Mini. Because he's just cheaper. He's like 3 or 4, right? 4?
I think he's just
One in
banned.
one in Bant.
Oh, he's.
Or is
Oh,
he
yeah,
just
yeah. You're right. He's one in ban,
yeah, I think he's one in Bant. But still, I mean he's 4, so it's not bad. And
and he has green.
with this being 6 in Mardu, I don't know. It'd be a tough sell for me for it to be Voltron.
I do want to just kind of throw in a quick comment. Feather is actually now the top Boros commander, beating out Aurelia by twice as many decks.
It doesn't surprise me. Like I said, it's by far the most interesting Boros decks.
Wow,
But yeah,
DePaula's
Sir Gwyn.
third.
I think Gwyn is cool. I like it. I really think I'd go like Knight Tribal. I don't think it's super competitive. I don't think it's super great. But also, it gives you an advantage if you're going like wide and just equipping a bunch of creatures because
Yeah,
you draw 1 card and lose 1 life clause. So it gives you that little card draw boost.
that's true, and that does also you're amplifying how much card draw you're going to have then. And there's even benefits to the losing 1 life, especially in Mardu colors.
Yeah. So I kind of like the go wide with small knights
So
and equipment until you get to that 6 drop and then go raw,
just go what?
raw with
It was
knight.
the way you roared. You were like rawr. Like I could just see you at the computer going like rawr with like your hands or something. Anyway,
Yeah.
do you think you would run like the Battle Bond Boros commanders in there? Because like Sylvia obviously won't do much for you because she's the knight who helps out the dragons. But Bright Flame or Korvoth, that's what his name was. Korvoth, who is a dragon,
Gives all the
will
knights double strike,
give
right?
your knights flying and double strike, I believe. So that
Yeah, I
certainly
think that's a
makes
good include.
Sylvia just becomes a tutor for Korvoth, and Korvoth is like the powerhouse of the two, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, Korvoth is definitely worth owning, I think.
There's also, if you really think about it, there's a surprising number of knights in Mardu. Like,
Although it's knights you're taking control of flying and haste, though.
oh,
Not
flying and haste. I
double
thought it was
strike.
double. Oh,
I
does
think the other one's double strike.
yeah? Sylvia gives the dragons double strike, I think.
Double strike. Yeah. But still, I mean, flying haste is not bad to give your entire team.
I mean, it makes Gwen that much better because now Gwen can attack the turn she comes out on 6. Somebody in the chat did mention Gwen's a lady, and that's absolutely right. You can tell now that you look at the art. Yeah.
Why
So
would you want to look at the art?
this is really cool art.
It is. It
Look
kind
at
of
this.
almost looks like she's holding a sword of War and Peace, doesn't it?
Maybe she's holding the flaming sword. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
I really like for Eldraine, and we're not going to go too deep into all the other cards that have been previewed yet because I'm sure that's going to be an episode later down the line. But a lot of the knights, especially the knights that have red in them, have that like red attire like Gwen's wearing, and it's really cool looking. Some of the art is so cool in this set. I want to buy a set of this set, like just one of every card. That's it. Like I don't need them for decks or anything. I just want the art. Or if they were to do like the little card art inserts like they did for Modern Horizons, I would love that because the set is just so beautiful. And because there's, like the fairy tale references like the Goldilocks and Little Mermaid and shit like that. So I like that.
All right. So now that we've gotten the worst one out of the way,
What?
I actually do think Sir Gwyn's probably the worst of the four.
I think it's actually a little hard because one of the other ones does not say. This is something actually Joseph Schultz from EDH Rec pointed out the other day. He wasn't making this specific point, but it was something that I noticed. He was basically talking about how it seems like nowadays a lot of rewarding that commanders give for whatever it is that you're doing is always to draw a card, which as a value player I love, but as also like somebody who likes to design and like think about the design of stuff, I can see where he was going with it because 3 out of these 4 commanders have draw a card written on them. So we've already seen Tulane. Now we've seen Sir Gwen. She has it in a combat based way, right? Like so it's something a little different. But still, it's just a lot of draw power. So let's swerve you a little bit instead of going in line and talking about another one that draws a card. Let's talk about the one that doesn't draw a card. And I'm probably gonna butcher this name, but it's Alila, Artful Provocateur. Sure, why not? Yeah,
Provocateur.
you're a provocateur. I don't know what that means. Anyway, for 1 white, blue, and black, this is a fairy warlock, 2/3, flying, death touch, and lifelink. So keyword super right off the bat. Other creatures you control with flying get +1/+0. Whenever you cast an artifact or an enchantment spell, create a 1/1 blue fairy creature token with flying. So no drawing on her, like specifically. There are obviously ways to abuse what she does to draw cards.
I mean, quite obviously, Skull Clamp goes in this deck.
Yeah, exactly. So
because you cast Skull Clamp, you get a fairy, then you equip Skull Clamp to the fairy dies, you get. I mean, come on.
I do really like that it's a fairy commander that plays into other things. So, like you were just saying, Skull Clamp, obviously the artifact and enchantment thing. So you can do Enchantress, you could do Artifact, which Espers has done before and done well. Or you can just kind of play those as like your regular support stuff and have some very tribal stuff mixed in. So I like that we have fairy commanders, I guess. Like we have Una, but Una is a very different, like very specific kind of deck, right? It's a mill/exile deck. So
yeah, cool. So there's an artful provocateur. I like Skull Clamp. I think I already said that, but Skull Clamp's cool.
What do you think about the whole like Enchantress idea? There's not as many Enchantress like draw a card when you cast enchantments things.
Yeah, without green.
Yeah, without green. So like you get Misa Enchantress, and I think that's about it. But you could, I guess, play enchantments that help you draw in other ways, as opposed to like the Enchantress effect of drawing a card. For playing enchantments, you just have enchantments that either you have an activated ability or that let you draw a card from some other effect of the game. I think Esper probably does better with artifacts.
I think just in general, Esper does better with artifacts. Esper has more artifact support than it does, the other.
Yeah, and trading in that that green for black for this, the enchantment thing is kind of not as easy. There are some cool cards for like an enchantment based deck in this set, which again we're not going to get too deep into because of just not having that kind of time to go over every single card that's been previewed. And again, we want to do an episode later on. for that kind of stuff. But what do you think about? I mean, Death Touch and Lifelink. Isn't this the second time in a while we've seen that on a commander? Didn't Yark have Death Touch Lifelink?
Yes, Yark did have Death Link.
Yeesh, they're just a lot of keywords actually. If you really think about it, if you look at all these, Tulane had Vigilance, Gwen has Vigilance and Menace, Alela has Flying, Death Touch, and Lifelink. There's a keyword on our next one.
Yeah, I mean, what's wrong with keywords though?
Nothing wrong. It just seems like it. It seems weird for a product to have something like that. Like think about the Commander product, right? There was one keyword on all of them. Two: Prowess and Haste. At least on the face commanders. So now you have like four commanders, and there's 7 keywords amongst them. There's almost 2 keywords per card. Somebody, a couple people on Twitter did say that they felt like Wizards kind of made these easier to build around, right? Again, talking about like how 3 of them draw cards in some way, shape, or form.
I think in a way they have to be for a Brawl centered format though, because Brawl is just not near as powerful as Commander.
Yeah, because you're gonna have such
So
a
when you're
limited.
trying to build them for Brawl, I think your command have to be a little bit stronger to make up for the fact that it's Brawl, and your card pool is so much more.
Yeah. Do you think that's going to have like a bleed effect into Commander? Because you already have people out there who, even with the Commander precons, right? They say that some people are against the Commander precon product because they think it solves parts of Commander. Like now, is Animar Morphs gonna be really worth playing because Kadina's there? Anji is like this combo deck that just runs madness cards for the sake of discarding a million cards to get to your combo faster. Uh, Edgar Markov is the best vampire commander, et cetera, right? Like as we go farther and farther down the line through all the different precons.
Yeah,
So now, if they're going to do stuff like this for Brawl, what does that mean for Commander? Because we pick up legendary. We don't care what format a card is designed for. We if it says legendary creature or if it's a really good effect in Commander, we pick it up. Look at Modern Horizons, where Hogak destroyed Modern for a little while, and people still run him as a commander. So now, like, we're gonna have these Brawl commanders that are designed in this way to make it, to probably kind of engine your deck a little bit better, as opposed to having a commander that is more vague or less of an engine, I guess. Like these are very engineistic. So do you
yeah.
think that's gonna carry over into Commander? Like, do you think we're gonna start seeing like, oh, why build any other band Commander now because Tulane exists or Mardu? If
I
you're
don't
not building
think
vampires.
I don't think Tulane is quite that good, and I definitely don't think it's quite that good. And same thing with this. They're definitely like, I mean, this doesn't even compete with Zer as far as Esper.
Yeah.
So I don't think they're building cards that are like more powerful than options that are out there. Tulane probably could compete for being the best bank commander in the end. I mean, but he doesn't have a lot of competition unless you're really wanting to play, what do you have? Reese, Devry, I
Rune.
guess, if you want to play stacks. Rune,
Yeah.
Rafik. Or Rafik's the one I meant, not Reese. Rafik. I mean, Angus McKenzie.
Yeah, if you got that kind of money.
I mean, if you're playing online.
Oh,
I mean,
okay,
if you're
okay.
playing paper, yeah. But if you're playing online, he's cheap online. He's less than 10 cents.
You want to say thank you
But I
to
mean,
Tony Dameron for the follow.
you just really don't have that many options in bank anyway. I mean, if you're a terrible person, you can play Devry. And then Rafik is, I mean, Voltron, but you can be weird and play the wall deck with Arcades. I mean, there's options for it, but it's like the only one that's really competitive would be Devry. So yeah, Tulane's gonna stand out because it's just better than the other options out there,
I don't know. I think Bant's got a pretty diverse pool nowadays. I mean, like a lot of the ones you just named are newer, Arcades,
Yeah.
Tulane, and there's one other one that are like newer-ish, I guess. Uh, but they are really different when you think about it. All the Enchantress ones now, where one of them's even a Merfolk, so you could do Bant Merfolk if you wanted to with some enchantment support and just get that incidental value of when you play your first enchantment. And if you're only playing like one enchantment a turn anyway, at most, you're just drawing a card every once in a while with Tuvasa, and then she just gets a little bit bigger.
Hmm.
Testia is aggressive enchantments, or you can do like the bestow creatures or all enchantment creatures, I should say, and just draw all the cards. That's what I want to do with Kestia. I just want to draw all the cards and smack people with enchantments.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, there are options. I just feel like Devry and probably Tulane in the end are probably your two best options if you're really looking to be more competitive with your build. And I mean, if you're just building for fun, there are lots of good options in every color combination, really.
Yeah.
But if you talk about those, they're going to see the most decks built because of the most competitive, kind of like Feather now and Boros. Is Feather's probably the best, most competitive Boros commander.
Yeah, because I
Then you're
don't.
probably going to see Jevry and Tulane being pretty high to the top
It's
by
funny
the end of this.
hearing feather. Or I mean, Boros and competitive in the same sentence without the word "not" in
I
there
said
somewhere.
the most competitive for
I know.
Boros.
I'm just
That
saying,
was
like
heavily put.
contextually though, like it was just kind of like, wait, can we say
I'm
that?
sorry.
Are we saying that on this podcast? I'm
You
not
can't.
saying that on this podcast.
I don't know. I think you do cool things with like a little fairy tribal deck. Throw a bitter blossom in there if you got some money. Do a skull clamp. Do some other neat things. I'd probably go artifacts more than enchantments, though. There's just not enough support for enchantments in Esper, in my
There
opinion.
are some pretty cool enchantments though for a deck like this. You figure the new Orzhov one, something Absolution, the one with Kaya and Tessa on the art.
Ethereal
Yeah,
Absolution.
yeah. So you have that one. So you're again buffing all your fairies and debuffing everybody else's stuff a little bit, or killing off their 1/1s if they have them. Favorable wins again, buffing all your flyers. So there might be like a Esper Flyers deck where there's a heavy amount of enchantments.
Yeah, I could see that.
I think though, it's
Or
important
even
to
like
note.
Cathar's Crusade.
Yeah, I think it's important to note that the artifacts probably have a little bit better recursion though. Especially
Yeah.
like you can recur stuff to your hand so that you can recast it to get more fairies. And of course anointed procession in this deck because tokens.
Yeah, why not?
Put a Helm of the
But
Host
yeah,
on Alela, then you get more fairies and more buffs.
let's spend our last few minutes here, though, talking about this guy called Corvold, fae-cursed king. So he's the one being cursed by the fairies, right?
I guess so. If you
So
go
he's
by
a giant
his
commander.
flavor text.
It's two, a black, a red, and a green, and it's flying. And he has the downside, quote unquote, of whenever Corvold fae-cursed king battlefield or attack, sacrifice another permanent. And then whenever you sacrifice another permanent, put a 1/1 counter on Corvold and draw a card.
So I just want to note, first of all, he's a Dragon Noble. He's a 4/4. He's a noble. That never existed before this set. Noble is now like a
There are no
thing.
other nobles ever in all of Magic.
I'm pretty sure no. Hold on.
Uh-oh. Now we've got to prove it.
Nope. There's 3 in Scryfall, and they're all from this set. There's Wicked Guardian and Lovestruck Beast, which when we do talk about Eldraine, I'm gonna gush over that card. The card's beautiful. Anyway, but yeah, I like that you point out that it's quote unquote a downside because it's obviously not really. I like that it's sacrificing another permanent, especially in a set that has arbitrary artifacts in it. For those of you who haven't seen the cards already, there are some cards that are creating food tokens, which are artifact tokens that You pay 3, tap it, sacrifice it. Or no, you pay 2, tap it, sacrifice
Yeah.
it to gain 3 life.
Okay. Yeah.
Which sounds awful because 3 life is not, in my opinion, worth 2 mana most of the time.
Yeah. Most of the time, not.
So, but for this, like, and then again, like the whole fae-cursed thing, it's very flavorfully all wrapped together because his flavor text even says, transformed at his own wedding, he promptly ate the banquet, the gifts, and the guest. So he's eating things. You feed him food tokens. Oh my god, I love it so much. It's so dumb. I love dumb stuff. But yeah, I'm pretty excited about this, and it's it's a big dumb dragon. He does big dumb dragon
Yeah.
things.
Big Dumb Dragon Noble thing.
He's the noblest of all the dragons. He may not be an elder dragon, but he's a noble one. I don't know. But I don't know. The one downside to him, I guess, is that like he doesn't knock out a lot of other commanders who are in his colors and do similar things. Like,
Yeah. Is he really better than Prosh?
well, is he even really better than Vivictus, the new one,
Eh,
where you can make everybody sacrifice your, like you select everybody to sacrifice something. Sure, you chaos warp, quote unquote, everybody's stuff, but you're getting rid of problematic stuff.
I could see him replacing the Evictus just in the fact that if you're going a more wide theme with a bunch of tokens,
Yeah.
a lot of cards and drawing a lot of cards, like I could see that. I don't see him as having a better payoff going wide than Prosh though.
Yeah, and that was going to be my other follow up was, let's say you do something other than food tokens, right? Let's say you do goblins or saplings or whatever. Rosh just does that better. So
Yeah. Yeah, Prosh does tokens better.
yeah.
No one does tokens
Hey, whoa.
like Prosh.
In Jund, maybe. You calm down. Crankle will get mad. Don't make Crankle mad.
Reese and Wart would probably get mad too,
Yeah, that's fair.
but I don't know. He's cool. I do agree with you though that in the scope of Jund things that he's cool, but he doesn't really have a niche.
Yeah. He's also kind of limited too, because it's an ETB or a tax. You can't sacrifice multiple things. Oh no, his bottom part is just sacrifice a permanent.
Yeah, it's whenever you sacrifice permanent. So you have to have another sack outlet to use, but it's not like there aren't plenty of them available for X and Alter the Brood.
I mean, even just Terramorphic Expanse
Not
and
Alter the
Evolving
Brood,
Wilds.
Alter Dementia.
Like, even just your fetches.
Yeah.
Because it just sacrifice a permanent. So
now.
that's actually really cool.
I mean, it's not that he's not useful.
Yeah.
It's just that I don't see like the reason to run him as the commander over something.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kraus is right. Vivictus does say, but see, it's almost like he's better as a card in Vivictus or in Prosh than as his own standalone commander.
That is true. Because then you get a card plus whatever you flip.
Yeah. He's more of an enabler for those two commanders than he is his own commander, like if you are playing commander instead of Brawl.
I don't know. So, this is kind of going to seem like a weird idea, but I've been stuck on this idea since they tried to do this for last year's precon. But Jund lands matter stuff with Core
Yeah,
Hold.
but doesn't Windgrace just do it better? Does he do Jund lands matter better than Windgrace?
I don't know. Windgrace is because this is also has more of an ending potential, I think, because you have this big flying beefy thing that does commander damage in colors that can easily grant, death touch, trample.
That's fair, but I think Windgrace just does it better.
I think he engines better, but I also think he's more fragile being a planeswalker because people instantly try to kill planeswalker commanders, especially stuff like Windgrace, where you kind of know what they're going to do is a little degenerate. I'm just thinking, like, imagine like the
A
Gitrog frog
little,
in this.
a little.
Get a little Fog Frog in this deck where gotta sacrifice a permanent, or I'm sorry, gotta sacrifice a land at the beginning of my turn, but that lets me draw a card. Oh, but Corvold's out, so I get to draw a card. A lot of value. And then like you put in stuff like Titania, whatever, because you're gonna be sacrificing lands. And then I think it's another value piece, at least to that strategy, if not as the commander. Or who knows, maybe it's just more inconspicuous. Maybe it's incremental value as opposed to like the explosive value that Lord Windgrace gives you. Because Lord Windgrace, you play him, you plus him, you discard your land and draw 2 cards. Like I think that's a lot more noticeable than like, oh, if I sacrifice something, I get a card. You know? We used to have a co-host who talked about this all the time about playing like weaker looking options. You remember your buddy?
Mm.
Phyrexian's like, I don't remember shit. I don't know. I think he's cool though, but he's a junk commander, so I'm almost always gonna be like,
I mean, his problem is that, like, they're just better giant commanders.
yeah. I mean, it's there's better Esper commanders and Mardu commanders.
That's true, but he literally does the same thing a lot of junk.
Yeah.
Or has the same payoffs on sacrifice. Those other cards are at least more unique-ish to what they do.
Yeah. It
Yeah,
just does
Newdark's
draw
right.
a
It's
lot of
hard to
creep.
ignore card draw. I mean, it's not like his card draw isn't great, but I think it does like make him great in the 99 since he doesn't have a way to sacrifice on his own.
Yeah, but you're talking about it's less. It looks like less. Like Lord Windgrace, you know exactly every turn, unless he needs the minus spring lands back for whatever reason. You know he's going to draw 2 cards. This is, I might draw a card if I sacrifice a permanent. Granted, again, like in this kind of a deck, it doesn't just have to be lands either. Like if your creatures die, if your tokens die, or whatever, you can get those cards. It's not something that you're definitely going to get. With Windgrace,
Yeah.
like because that's how the deck's going to be built. You know they're going to get cards. You know they're going to discard those lands and probably draw 5 million more that they're also going to discard and then draw more cards. So this is like, it looks like, oh yeah, I have to be able to sacrifice something in order to get it. Like, and it's not even like something dies to get it. It's not in a legit aristocrat thing. Like I think New Dark said something about aristocrats before. It's not legit aristocrats where dies does a thing like Tessa Karlov. It's you have to sacrifice it. So it's a little bit different. It's like you have to jump through a little bit more hoops, and people might be fine with that. And now, if you play this and like you have Viserys Seer out and a Ring of Gix out, then okay. I mean, people are gonna see what you're doing. But yeah, a fetch land is sacrifice. Corvold might allow for some explosive turns. Yeah, might. And I think that comes into play. At least if you're good at talking to your group, I think that might come into play. Now, granted, if you play the same group all the time and you do really well with this deck all the time, you can't politic it as much of like, oh, I don't even do much, blah blah blah. Dude, you turned 6th us like 3 games in a row. Obviously, you can.
Yeah, we didn't fall asleep and forget what
Yeah.
this deck does.
Yeah. So if it does do really well, then obviously you're gonna have a problem with like that part. But if sometimes it does really really well and sometimes it doesn't do so well, or if it just kind of like averages out, like you could probably, or if you play with a lot of different people, if you go to like an LGS and you're playing different people every week, you could probably get away with more with this as opposed to Lord Windgrace. Because I don't think this is gonna get the same kind of reputation Lord Windgrace is gonna get, especially if you're like, oh, it's a lands deck. They were going to be like, people are going to actually say exactly what Phyrexian said. Well, why didn't you just play Lord Windgrace? Oh,
Yeah.
well, I like dragons. Shut up.
Why do you like dragons so much?
Because sometimes they're in dungeons. I don't know.
I gave you a half chuckle for that bad joke. You're welcome.
But So yeah, there's all four. So do you still think True Lane's the best of all four?
I think Trilling's probably the best of all four.
Yeah.
In terms of if you're trying to build competitive, Chulane's just going to give you the most options to do it.
What does the chat think while we're gonna be finishing up here? What do you guys think? Do
Of
you
the
guys think
Valdor
True
setting,
Lane? Do you think Corval? Do you think Alela? Do you think Sir Gwen? I actually remembered all the names. Look at me go. But which one do you guys in the chat? And then like for viewers on YouTube and listeners in podcast world later on, like comment below. What do you think is the best of the Brawl clones? Which ones are you the most excited to build? Which ones are you maybe not as excited to build, and why? So that's going to be it for us for tonight. We are going to get back on doing these every Monday. We had kind of a rough time during August, and some of it was Vegas, along with some other trips and stuff like that. Plus, just the beginning of the school year was really hard. Phyrexian's job is school. My wife's a teacher, and I have kids, so it was just really, really difficult. But now that we're getting back into the routine, we're going to try to uh, get back to doing these every Monday with new topics. Obviously, we're going to be a little bit on Eldraine probably next week, and maybe the week after that, I would imagine. And then we'll go from there, doing more deck brews and stuff like that. Or if you guys actually have ideas, you can feel free to leave comments down below, or find us in the Discord, or even email us at praetormagic@gmail.com. Just put reflections of the council in the subject, and we will take a look and discuss the topic. And if it's something we think we can do, we'll do it. Sure, why not? Uh, we haven't done this in a while, so you gotta give me a minute. Oh, of course, we are still affiliated and sponsored by our friends over at Ink Gaming. Your game, your style. Make sure you are using our affiliate link down below the stream, the video, or the podcast, and make sure you're using your 10% off coupon code of Praetor10 Praetor10 to get 10% off your purchase as a way of supporting the channel, the team, and everything else that we make. And of course, thank you very much for that. You can follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/PraetorMagic, YouTube at youtube.com/PraetorMagic, Facebook.com/PraetorMagic, Instagram.com/PraetorMagic, and join us every Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on Twitch.tv/PraetorMagic for these live podcasts. And Phyrexian, you can't find you anywhere on all these things,
that's true.
but we can find you
On the Discord.
on the Discord, which unfortunately does not have a discord.com/PraetorMagic link, because that would be too easy. So there will be a link down below. So you can come join us and talk about Magic and WoW Classic that we've been playing a lot more, and play Horrible Commander with Phyrexian, who turned 3 Vorinclex's people.
Hey, I turned to Flash Hold combo today too. So.
See? So Valdor is in the chat, just so everybody understands why I'm going to say this. I told him yesterday when he told us about turn 3 Vorinclex that he was just jealous that you did it, so he had to try and be a jerk and do it too. So he just copied.
Yeah, but I didn't do it with unexpected results. I did it on purpose.
Yes, you are more awful. You're right.
Let's be clear. I'm more awful than Valdor. I did it on purpose.
All right, so I like them all, but True Lane is obviously the most effective. Corvold seems like the most fun to play. True Lane is very powerful, but too linear of a build. Yeah, I would say that's accurate. I'm probably gonna try to build at least all of them once at some point. At least try, maybe on stream or whatever else. Oh, the 21st of September at 9 p.m. Be around twitch.tv/PraetorMagic. It's a Saturday.
Yeah.
Before you think to ask, I'm not gonna go into detail about why, but just be here.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll be cool.
You might throw that out on the Discord and on the Twitters too. Let you people know. You might want to hang around on the 21st of September at 9.
Yeah, Eastern time, PM. Just saying.
Eastern. After the kids go to bed.
Yeah, relax.
Yeah, most of you have better things to be doing, but come out and hang out with us anyway.
Yeah. All right, that's gonna be it for me. Phyrexian, you got anything?
No, that's it for me.
All right, well, we'll see you all next Monday. Until then, peace.